Hiyo, Discoria here, with the latest and greatest face-punching guide, this time for Cayenne. The newest member of the Ejido has appeared, and in all of his old man light power glory, and he's here to kick our asses. This guide will turn that completely around and allow you to instead deliver him swift and effective face-punching. So, first things first, if you haven't watched my video, Prep School, Cayenne Edition, definitely go and watch that before watching this video. Prep School will help you prepare for the fight by recommending weapons, worm prints, and giving some other useful information, including team compositions and more. So, at this point, as I go forward, I am assuming that you have watched that video and you have a fully prepped character for the fight. I will be doing the fight from Nefaria's perspective, because that's who I built for the fight, but I will really be focusing on the phases of the fight and the tactics you need to adopt as a team to be successful. Okay. So I always learn best by doing, so I'm going to walk you through successful clear step by step so you can see all the stages, the movements, and even the common mistakes. Let's jump into it. I usually try and play with a healer composition, meaning I like to see a Cleo in the team comp. This is a personal preference. You'll remember from my prep school video that there are multiple team comps that work for successful clears, and a lot of people like the Odd Sparrows Valiant Crown double Patia comp, but I like the healer comp. I feel that it still works very consistently for clearing, and also, I like that it allows for some mistakes to be made, because honestly, I make some mistakes. If I'm playing a healer comp, I also like to see Glio, Gallic Cleo, because her buff zone increases DPS significantly, and that makes completing the fight even more reliably successful. The last slot could be anything, and that's another reason why I love this comp. It's completely open, so I could be playing with Yasu, Boten, Lathna, really any fun buff unit. Okay, so as you can see here, this was the team comp that I ended up going with for my clear, and it is made up of Nefaria, Cleo, Gallic Cleo, and a really buffy Yasu. So let's go to the fight now, and we're going to jump right in, and I'll be walking you through each stage of the fight. I'll be pausing it as we go along, just so I can point out the different tactics and the mechanics that are in the fight. Okay. So, let's let him open up. Cayenne will open with a large purple AoE, so you should pretty much start the fight running away from him, as you can see me doing ever so desperately with my Nefaria. Remember that you can't iframe through purple, so you need to manually dodge this circle. Okay, so once you're out of the circle and you've had an actual chance to look at Cayenne, you'll notice that he's surrounded by a yellow circle. Note this because we're going to come back to it and it's going to be important. The first move he's going to make after the purple AoE is to spin his axe around in a circle like a maniac across the map. Watch now as he spins like a maniac. You're going to want to dodge this. This can be dodged with an iframe, but honestly, he spins for a long time, and I don't think there are many iframes long enough to dodge the entire spin, so to be safe, I would just stay out of the range of the axe until he's done spinning. Okay, so, as soon as he's done spinning, hustle into the yellow circle, like I just did, and hug close to Cayenne with the rest of your team. This is where you're going to want to start focusing on inflicting as much damage as possible. Remember how we talked about the yellow circle earlier? It's important to stay within the yellow circle when you're inflicting damage because you deal more damage within it. You also take more damage, so try not to take damage. It is at this point in the fight that Glio should use their S1 buff zone so that everybody can do as much damage as possible, and you can see here that they activate it. Okay, so let's let it continue. Cayenne isn't going to just stand there and let you pummel him, so there are a few mechanics that will pop up now to either try and distract you or harm you while you try to unload as much damage as possible. So, you'll notice that as you progress through this phase, orbs will appear at the perimeter of the yellow circle. You can see them already now. These are called unbreakable satellites. They cause a small amount of damage if you touch them and also bounce you around like a dodgeball. Last, and worst of all, they inflict blind if you aren't immune, so basically, don't touch them and don't go near them. Okay, so, once the next active mechanic that you're going to want to face, or that you're going to have to face, are the two purple circles that Cayenne will target two players with. Positioning of where these circles drop are key, because they deal damage to your character if you touch them. I found the best thing to do to ensure your entire team is standing very close together, and then you are all inside the circles. That way there's no risk of being trapped in the middle of two circles and being killed because you got sandwiched. That's happened to me a number of times and prevented a number of clears. It is a little easier said than done. Sometimes coordination in pubs can leave a lot to be desired, but it hasn't been too bad for the last few days in the groups that I have found. Okay, waiting for the next phase. Okay, as you can see here, once this phase is over, a red AoE marker will appear. Ensure your entire team is within it so that you can all share the damage that it inflicts. Because of how much damage that we did in this phase, you're going to see that we actually skip one of the phases that most people will end up seeing. So I will speak about that very quickly so that you know what to do when it shows up. It's the Cayenne spray axe attack. This attack has purple spray on the outside and red spray on the inside. You can iframe the red portion of the spray, but I never do. I just roll behind him and keep attacking from there. Totally up to you. Both tactics work just fine. Okay. At this point, your team should have done enough damage to force Cayenne to his second phase. Generally speaking, the latest that you're going to want to see your DPS lagging would be the axe spray phase, which again, our team skipped entirely in this fight. But you should have done enough damage after the 2 axe spray attacks to force him into his second phase. If you haven't, if your DPS has gotten pretty messy, I would suggest regrouping or trying again until you've raised your DPS to enter the second phase with the right timing. Remember, when Cayenne transforms, he resets all buffs and debuffs, and he does an unavoidable blast attack that will hit everyone, so your healer should drop some heals to ensure that you all survive. Okay. At the beginning of this phase, Cayenne puts up a barrier and a red ring that inflicts blind. It's now officially Nefaria's time to shine. She should use her S2 Force Strike to dispel the barrier so that the team can immediately continue inflicting damage. Next up, Cayenne will use Crushing Catalysm. When he uses this, he will grab the furthest player and they will be completely disabled until the team has destroyed the weak point. You want to ensure you do this quickly because if not, Cayenne damages your entire team and it could be a wipe. Now you've reached Supreme Spheres Phase 1. During the first phase of summoning Supreme Spheres, Cayenne summons 4 spheres, which will slowly start moving towards Cayenne. If they reach him, they provide super strong buffs, including 35% strength up, defense up, and regeneration. Your team should focus on destroying all of them as quickly as possible. Cayenne will then telegraph 2 swiping attacks with red frames. You can either iframe through these or dodge quickly behind him. Totally up to you. As you can see, sometimes there still be spheres left to destroy at this point, so just ensure that you're trying to still destroy the spheres, and you're also prepared to dodge his swipe attacks. Afterwards, Cayenne will summon another round of unbreakable satellites. Remember to avoid them. At this point, you now face Universal Annihilation, a purple AoE he will begin summoning when he moves to the center of the map. This can't be avoided at all, and it inflicts paralysis. Most players hightail it to the outer rim of the map to dodge, some dragging through it. However you choose to proceed, just be sure not to touch the satellites and blind yourself. Quickly following the universal annihilation, Cayenne will pop an adamantian shield, and Nefaria is up once again to use her S2 Force Strike to dispel. You should be breaking right around now. Give or take a bit of time depending on your team DPS rates, dragon up and go to town. If your DPS was healthy throughout the fight, you should be able to finish him here. If you're a bit behind, you may have to defeat further phases before you can fell Cayenne. Some other phases you might see include Roar Attack, a smaller version of the Universal Annihilation, Grab and Throw, where Cayenne literally grabs the farthest player and throws them to the edge of the map, and Unbreakable Satellites, where there are 6 satellites summoned instead of 4. Keep in mind throughout this fight, where I haven't been speaking, it is very important that you continue to inflict as much DPS as possible. Anytime I've been silent in the video, that's the time where you should focus on DPS. So, there you have it, folks. With this guide and the prep school guide I previously published, you should be in a good position to get your first expert Cayenne clear. Now, go forth and conquer!